Everybody. This is Carolyn Freyer-Jones. I'm so excited to get to share with you for just a little bit as some or all of you have been participating in this special fundraiser for Shannon Lloyd. So first of all, I need to start with just acknowledging Shannon and what everybody who's participating in this is up to. I've had the privilege of having Shannon serve at my school, the CFJ Coaching Success School, for all that we are entering our 7th year of the school. Shannon has been present for all the years that we have been hybrid, meaning people participating over Zoom and live in the room. And Shannon has done an outstanding job every year. And that means including various, Wi-Fi challenges and anything else that was thrown at him. He rose to the occasion. So I want to acknowledge you, Shannon, and say thank you. And I also want to acknowledge you, Shannon, because, look, you have been working with this health challenge for a couple of years now since you shared about it openly. And I really appreciate and admire the way in which you have continued to show up professionally. I don't think you've skipped a beat in how you've shown up professionally, certainly at my school. And I want to thank you for that and let you know how much I admire that and how grateful I am. And I also know that you have shown up in general in this way, including in all your sharings about the cancer diagnosis and how you've worked with it. And I most appreciate that you have continued to model the USM principles and practices of spiritual psychology and how you are working with all of this. So I applaud you. And that will be a fantastic transition to talking about the relevance of a spiritual understanding when creating a business or a coaching practice, or really anything for that matter. So I get to talk to you for a little bit, which is super fun because how often do I get to just make a video or that's all I share about? That's amazing. And I really want to acknowledge all the other coaches who are doing work today, just whether you're here live serving people or you also provided a video. I just acknowledge you. I acknowledge you, Isla, and your leadership in all this out of your love for Shannon. And I thank you for everything you've done. And Rohini and Angus, Johnny Roman, Stephen McGee, Kirk Souter, uh, everybody on the team. If I didn't mention your name, I apologize. I don't want to look down at my list because I feel like that wouldn't seem super professional. And you know who you are. So what's the relevance of having a spiritual understanding as you're building a business? For me, first of all, it's everything, right? It's really the underpinning of everything I do. So I relate to my business as a practice, right? It's like the practice of taking care of my business is important. And it was important at the very beginning, and it's still important now. And I relate to what happens in my business in the context of this or something better for the highest good of all concerned. So anytime I'm creating in my business or co-creating, I look at it as I'm co-creating with spirit. And I look at it as it's always in the context of this or something better for the highest good of all concerned. So in the beginning, when it was Michelle Bauman and I creating our businesses together and independently, that was very much what I leaned on. And I leaned on that in the context of anytime I got a client or anytime I didn't get a client. So any conversation I went into in terms of creating an aspect of my business, which for me meant creating a client, I was always asking inside before I went into that conversation. First of all, let me be of the highest service possible. And if it's for the highest good, let this person become someone who's my client. And I always follow that up with, and if it's not for the highest good, that is 100% okay. because who am I to know what is for the highest good? I really took that when doctors Ron and Mary Holnick would talk about that. Like, how can we possibly know what's for the highest good? I have ideas. I like to think I know, but the truth is, I don't know. So I don't want to pretend I know. And I don't want to pretend that this person should be my client. Even if I think I can really help them, I'm like, oh my gosh, they talk to me. There's so much I could help them with. That still does not equal that I know what's for their highest good. So I'm always practicing that in the context of things I want to have occur in my business, right? And that hasn't changed, right? There are still things I would like to have occur. And I practice if it's for the highest good. And I don't pretend to know what that is. And I think that is really useful in the context of creating a business. So to me, it allows me to have an element of non attachment, right? Because my ego, if left up to its own devices, is going to want stuff, right? Like there's lots of things I want, you know, I want my book to sell more. I want the school to become whatever, better known, all the things. And really slowing it all down and saying, you know what? Whatever's for the highest good. And I'll share a story because I think it's relevant. I worked at the University of Santa Monica for 12 years after I graduated from the master's in spiritual psychology. And Mary Holnick was my boss. For those of you who don't know doctors Ron and Mary Holnick, or don't know them personally, or went to USM, but you never got to spend time with them, you didn't have the pleasure of working with them behind the scenes. To me, one of the most important things is they really lived this and practiced it. And I mean that. Like, I watched them be presented over many years with various opportunities, right? Because if someone came to USM, it would be very easy to be like, oh my gosh, this is the best stuff ever. You two should be dot, dot, dot. You two should be on Oprah when Oprah was on. You two should be being interviewed by XYZ person. You two should do this to create that, or you two should do this to put the University of Santa Monica more on the map, right? They were constantly being presented with opportunities or requests or proposals to do this. And it would have been very easy for them to go down the path of any number of them. And I remember talking with Ron Holnick about this, right? And I talked with Mary about it over the years. And I once said to Ron, like, what makes you decide? Like, some of these things seem like such a good idea, right? That's what it's all in the name of. It seems like such a good idea. It seems like it would be so helpful. And he would say to me, like, I have to, one of my jobs as the president is to remember the mission of the university. And the mission is establishing the principles and practices of spiritual psychology worldwide through the process of soul-centered education. Now, I worked there for 12 years, and that's why that is still literally at the tip of my tongue. I even laugh at that. I'm like, ooh, I still remember it. Yay, Carolyn. So he said, I'm always looking at it against that, against the mission. And so there's lots of good ideas, and that doesn't mean that's meant to fulfill the mission. So obviously, I don't have a university. I have a teeny tiny school for coaches. And I'm always asking myself, what will serve the greatest good of the school, right? So what will serve that? What will serve, I'm not looking to fill 276 spaces every year like USM was. So I'm always looking at that. And one of my opportunities, and I think we all have this, is to look at what my ego wants to do and then what's really in service. And that all comes from, if I didn't have a spiritual context, if I didn't have a spiritual underpinning, forget it. I'd be running after a lot of things that would like look good, bright and shiny. Oh, that would get me XYZ, and like all in the name of ego inflation, ego wanting to be seen, wanting to be perceived as the best. all that stuff. So it is really the context of what is for the highest good, whether it's for my business, whether it's like wanting a certain client, it's all of that. So what you get to do as you spend time with each of us today, right? Each of the coaches and everyone is going to present and are presenting their own inner guidance on what this means to them, right? All our inner guidance. So you're going to hear from a bunch of us. And from us, you get to decide, A, do you have a spiritual context for what you're up to? If you do, great. Is there a way to deepen that in the name of creating more ease? If you don't have a spiritual context yet, what a great place to be today in the name of developing more of that. And I can tell you this, that having a spiritual underpinning in my work creates a lot more peace in me, right? Because when something doesn't happen, whether it's a client or some other thing that I thought this would be so great, this must be in service to the highest good. I remember like, wow, I don't know. I don't know. And if I'm really going to live by that principle, this or something better for the highest good of all concerned, it means, especially when something doesn't occur that in my mind I thought would be great, or in my mind I really wanted. And I really think about like, you know, um, what does it mean to create success in the world, even though that's in a way that's not our number one job. So in a spiritual context, my job is to continue to grow in my ability to be unconditionally loving, no matter the circumstances, no matter the situation, whether it's in regards to me and being unconditionally loving with myself or with other humans. Like that's really, like, to me, I really live by, I am a divine being using a human experience to learn and grow. And to grow in my ability to love unconditionally in a world where it doesn't always look like people are doing that. And then you look at success, right? It's easy for those of us with a spiritual context to view success on a financial level, having our lives work well from a financial standpoint. We could look at that as that's so physical world, like really spiritual people shouldn't want to create financial success. And I would offer a different point of view, because creating financial success means that your life works, meaning that you can fund your life and you can pay your bills with grace and ease, and you can save adequately, and you can give to others. To me, being able to give to others, like we are doing here with Shannon's fundraiser, is really important. And I want to be able to do that. And I cannot do that if I'm not able to handle my own life. I can't give to others. I can't give to causes because I'm too busy struggling to get my own needs met. So this is a really important thing, right? And it's easy to put it in the category of that's so physical world reality. I only care about spiritual things. Having financial success creates more ease and creates our ability to serve others more effectively. So that's the other way I relate to having a spiritual foundation underneath everything I do, right? So when you were a student at the University of Santa Monica, we heard three things very early in the program. Take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others. And use everything for your learning, growth, and upliftment, right? So I really, at a minimum, if I forget all my USM tools and skills, that's what I'm up to. And if I forget everything else, I can remember this or something better for the highest good of all concerned. And that I don't need to know what that is, because there's a divine presence that does. Whatever you call it, God, the universe, spirit, doesn't really matter. I'm not in charge of that. And in that, my experience is I can have more fun creating, I can have more fun serving, and I can have more fun giving. So to me, to be able to present to all of you, and I'm going to wrap it up in a minute because you got lots of other people to hear from, is a gift, right? When we give to others, we gift to ourselves. So, to whatever degree you're here, whether you've just made a donation in service to Shannon or you bought a raffle, whatever it is, know that that is part of a spiritual practice called giving. And I appreciate that in the name of Shannon, our friend Shannon, who we all love and we all care about. And Shannon's giving us an opportunity to practice giving. And I appreciate that. And I like to play with people creating more of a context, a spiritual underpinning for their work. And it's not a requirement. That's really important that I say that to all of us. Like I don't have an agenda that you or anybody who I work with must have a spiritual context for their life. I'm not in charge of that either. You know why? Because who am I to say what's for their highest good? Who am I to say that? So that's not my agenda. I trust that that person knows what's for their highest good, what they want to get coached on. And I'm practicing that inside of me, hopefully all the time, or at least most of the time. So I'm going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you again to all of you for being here. I hope this was of value. If not, just ignore the video. Hopefully you went and got coffee and you're just coming back to your seat and this is over. And I know that it's going to be, however this all unfolds, it's going to be a great day. And I am sending all of you so much loving and light and more to come. Take good care. Bye.